In the end, the question that remains isn't about Christmas lunch or the cold mother or the passive brothers. The question that truly matters is, how long will you accept being erased at tables where you are the one keeping the lights on? Because the truth is simple and painful. As long as you allow them to call your strength dependence, they will continue drinking from the well you keep full and still claim you should be grateful. And here's the thing Valentina learned too late, but you still have time to understand. No one values what they believe they will never lose. Sometimes it's only when you cancel the emotional autopay, when you let the cabin freeze, when you withdraw the invisible support, that people finally see who was truly carrying the family. It's not revenge, it's survival, it's dignity, it's the birth of a clarity that changes everything. So I ask you, looking right into your eyes, how long will you accept emotional crumbs from people who should be giving you respect? When was the last time you felt silent freedom? What still ties you to tables that always freeze when you speak? If this story touched you in any way, it's because maybe you too are at the edge between continuing to bleed for others or finally choosing to sustain yourself. Now take a deep breath and choose you. And if you want to keep learning how to break free from stories that try to erase you, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and walk with me. Your turning point might begin in the next video. When Valentina heard her mother say, right in the middle of Christmas lunch, that she needed to stop depending on the family, something inside her simply didn't add up. It was strange to be treated like a burden while spending years paying her parents' bills, holding together the cracks of a house that looked perfect on the outside. She remembered the warm dinner lights always illuminating that illusion while she was quietly shut off. And no one seemed to notice that the invisible support came from her, not them. That label of dependent only hid how much she was the silent structure holding everything upright. Her passive brothers never realized that without the nephew's tuition she paid, a lot would have collapsed. The maintenance of the cabin, for instance, only kept running because Valentina held everything together month after month, like someone filling a well for others to drink from. And still, they said she was in the way, that she needed to grow up, as if she hadn't been forced to grow up too soon. It was like keeping Christmas lunch functioning backstage while everyone else laughed their fake laughs in the living room. They called me dependent while drinking from the source I kept full, she thought, finally seeing the distortion. What hurt most wasn't her mother's sentence, it was the clarity that followed. That cold line, spoken without hesitation, revealed a role reversal that had lasted years. The family acted like providers, but lived anchored to Valentina's silent responsibility. Meanwhile, she was painted as a weight, someone taking up unwarranted space in that carefully frozen scenario where no one defended her. The table froze, but inside her something finally thawed. And there, between the family's silence and the feeling of being erased, the next turning point began, even if they didn't notice. When Valentina placed her fork back on the table, Christmas lunch felt as if it had been restarted like a rehearsed play. The table went back to talking as if nothing had happened, but it was exactly that disguised silence that hurt the most. Her cold mother adjusted the tablecloth as if erasing evidence. Her father looked away, pretending to focus on the warm dinner lights that no longer warmed anything. Her passive brothers let out passive-aggressive comments, trying to glue normality onto something clearly cracked. And the cruelest part, no one had the courage to defend her, nor to confront their own silence. That family, perfect from the outside, had always known how to act. Fake laughter, raised glasses, toasts that meant nothing. But Valentina saw beyond it. She saw the cracks in the house and the weight of the invisible support everyone ignored, as if it were natural for her to carry them all. There, at that frozen table, she felt that the family's silence said what no one dared to voice. She was convenient, not wanted. She was treated like a piece that fit when useful and disappeared when she threatened their comfortable narrative, and realizing this brought clarity with an almost painful force. Evan, the middle brother, muttered "You always take everything so personally," while fidgeting with his napkin to dodge his own discomfort. That kind of line had always been the family's mechanism to erase her, a way of telling her that her pain was exaggerated, that her discomfort was imaginary. But in that moment, Valentina finally understood. It wasn't that she imagined too much, it was that they felt too little. Her mother didn't yell, she erased. And being erased year after year became an internal hole hard to describe. Except this time, that hole would come with a decision that would change everything. Valentina left Christmas lunch without raising her voice, without creating drama, without asking for explanations. While that family, perfect from the outside, continued serving dessert and pretending everything was normal, she walked to her car feeling something new: clarity. Her mother's phrase, "Stop depending on the family," echoed like a cruel irony, since she was the very invisible support of that entire group. Her passive brothers, who leaned on her constantly, never imagined that this silence was actually a period. And beneath the hurt, a rare kind of peace was growing. At her apartment, Valentina turned on only one light, leaving most of the living room in darkness. It was as if she wanted to finally see, with honesty, everything she had avoided. She sat in front of her computer and opened the payment folder. There were years of autopay: her parents' bills, cabin maintenance, her nephew's tuition, small financial rescues for her brothers during crises. All recorded, all paid by her. The table had frozen hours earlier, but now she was the one thawing her own story. And that clarity hurts, but it frees. With a deep breath, Valentina began canceling things one by one. Autopay after autopay. Cabin internet, maintenance, heating, tuition. Each click felt like removing a stone from the backpack she had carried without ever choosing to. There was no anger, only lucidity, and for the first time, her cold mother and passive brothers would feel the discomfort of living without what they had always taken for granted. They thought she used the family. Little did they know it was the opposite, and the impact of this shift was far from being understood by them. 2 days after Christmas lunch, the silence finally broke. Her brother called, yelling, saying the cabin was freezing because the heating had stopped and the internet had been cut off. That desperate tone revealed more about the family structure than any speech about unity. They had always told Valentina to stop depending on the family, but they were the ones who didn't know how to live without her invisible support. The table had frozen that day, and now it was the cabin freezing. Valentina listened calmly, without raising her voice. She only repeated, as if holding up a mirror, "You told me to stop depending on the family, so I did." Her brother fell silent. It was as if for the first time he saw the cracks in the house they had always pretended didn't exist. The cold mother, the passive brothers, the absent father, all depended on the financial structure she made look effortless. The warm dinner lights, so rehearsed, were now replaced by a coldness only truth can create. While her brother tried to argue, she observed something rare: their clarity emerging through the pain of absence. The family perfect from the outside began to fall apart when comfort disappeared. The maintenance of the cabin, the nephew's tuition, even her parents' bills, everything had been sustained by her. Now, without that structure, the family's silence changed tone. It stopped being erasure and became desperation. But this was only the first consequence. What came next would shake them even more. When things truly tightened, the family did exactly what Valentina expected. They tried to take the cabin. They filed a legal request claiming she was appropriating what belonged to the family, ignoring 20 years of invisible support that had kept that place alive. For them, accusing was easier than admitting dependence. But the clarity, so present since Christmas lunch, guided Valentina at a different pace. And it was precisely that desperate attempt that triggered something they had not foreseen. The so-called reversion clause, hidden in the contract and signed by her own father, automatically returned the cabin to whoever had sustained the property for more than 10 consecutive years. And guess who met every requirement. She did. The cold mother and passive brothers never imagined the documents themselves would reveal the story they had always tried to erase. While they believed they had control, the legal process exposed a truth that not even the warm dinner lights could hide. They had never been the providers, only the consumers. When the final decision came out, Valentina felt something close to justice, not revenge, but balance. They didn't lose the cabin because of me, she thought. They lost it because they tried to take away the place I built myself. The table had frozen that Christmas, but now it was their intentions freezing. The family perfect from the outside was facing its own reflection, and nothing hurts more than recognizing one's own shadow. Yet there was still the final chapter left, the one where truths are placed on the table, literally. Valentina arrived at the diner with her heart beating in the same rhythm as the flickering sign outside, that slightly faulty glow that seemed to understand exactly what she carried. The warm dinner lights from Christmas lunch still burned in her memory, but here the atmosphere was different. There were no fake laughs to mask the pain, no family perfect on the outside pretending unity, just her, finally whole. When everyone sat down, the table froze in a symbolic way, as if even the air knew some heavy truth was about to surface. And it was. When Valentina opened the payment folder, her hands trembled, not from fear, but from liberation. Each receipt looked like a revealed scar. Her parents' bills paid in silence, her nephew's tuition, maintenance of the cabin they claimed was the family's, but which only existed because she funded every inch of it. Now, without that structure, the family's silence changed tone. It stopped being erasure and became desperation. But this was only the first consequence. What came next would shake them even more. Then Valentina took a single dollar from the folder and placed it in the center of the table. The sound of the paper touching the surface echoed louder than any scream she could have given. Here's what's left of my inheritance. Here's what remained after you called me dependent while living off my invisible support. The mother tried to speak in her defense, but her voice died before forming. The once confident brothers now stared at the floor like children caught stealing candy. Valentina stood up slowly, feeling something she had never felt at home, silent freedom. And for the first time, leaving didn't hurt. Staying had hurt far more. In the end, the question that remains isn't about Christmas lunch, or the cold mother, or the passive brothers. The question that truly matters is, how long will you accept being erased at tables where you are the one keeping the lights on? Because the truth is simple and painful. As long as you allow them to call your strength dependence, they will continue drinking from the well you keep full and still claim you should be grateful. And here's the thing Valentina learned too late, but you still have time to understand. No one values what they believe they will never lose. Sometimes it's only when you cancel the emotional autopay, when you let the cabin freeze, when you withdraw the invisible support, that people finally see who was truly carrying the family. It's not revenge, it's survival, it's dignity. It's the birth of a clarity that changes everything. So I ask you, looking right into your eyes, how long will you accept emotional crumbs from people who should be giving you respect? When was the last time you felt silent freedom? What still ties you to tables that always freeze when you speak? If this story touched you in any way, it's because maybe you too are at the edge between continuing to bleed for others or finally choosing to sustain yourself. Now take a deep breath and choose you. And if you want to keep learning how to break free from stories that tried to erase you, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and walk with me. Your turning point might begin in the next video.